Hi Big Lap Bible, I'm Taylor.
I'm Pete.
And we're from Cruising Overland.
We're full-time travellers. We started in September 2020. We're actually coming close to the end of our lap in about a week or two. Just started off just the two of us, and then about 10 weeks ago we got our little travelling companion Ralph, who we'll introduce to you later. The big lap was something I always wanted to do. I'm originally from the UK, and I came out here 9 years ago now, and with the intention of doing it within that first year. That didn't happen, so I managed to get sponsored and ended up staying here and becoming a citizen, etc. But I said before I settled down, it was something that I had to do. So yeah, that was the main reason for us doing it. And Taylor wanted to come with me as well. She wasn't super keen at first, but yeah, I managed to break it down a little bit.
I was convinced. We are currently at Goralia Station.
Yeah, just near Exmouth for about 5 days. Yeah, we've done like a figure of 8 around Australia. When we set off originally, it got too hot because of COVID. We had to set off a little bit later, and yeah, we got up to Broome, and it was like November time, which is the wrong time of year to be in Broome, especially in a tent with a car with a pop top roof. We're travelling in a 2005 Land Cruiser troop carrier with a 1HD FT engine, and we had the roof cut off and put an LU cab conversion on, just to make the most of the space in the back, which is where we're sat now. And yeah, we'll show you a little bit around after.
So we generally try and stay in free camps. We use the app Wiki Camps, which a lot of travellers that we've come across use. Probably once every 2 weeks we go into a caravan park.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sometimes it will be, it might be, sometimes it once every 3 weeks, sometimes it might be once a week, but lately it's not been that much, has it?
No, it just depends where you are. If you're near a large city, you tend to stay in caravan parks more often. If you're more remote, like we have been in North WA, it's pretty easy to free camp. We've got a few.
There's so many. Yeah, depends what you like doing. But for us, I really liked Liffey Falls in Tasmania. It was it free?
It was free, yeah. It was right next to a waterfall and a creek. There was toilets, yeah. Campfires.
It was an official campground. But yeah, so that was one of my favourites, and walking distance to all the activities that place sort of provides.
Dundee Beach was a really good one too. We went and visited that on a weekend when we were looking for work up in Darwin, and you just park up, a bit like the Dampier Peninsula, really.
Very similar, yeah. More crocs though.
Yeah, and Point Brown last Easter, so a year ago, we crossed the border into SA from WA, and we went to Point Brown and spent about 4 nights.
Yeah.
Just over the Easter period, and yeah, that was another top camp for us. We get asked this question everywhere we meet. Like, with everyone we meet, they say, "Oh, what's the best place to go to?" And it's such a hard question.
It really depends on what you like doing.
Yeah.
Tasmania for us was really good. Prior to getting Ralph, our little dog, we were able to go to all the national parks. We were hiking sometimes a couple of hikes a day, or a hike a day. Tasmania is awesome. Free camping's great. I mean, when we got the dog's situation is very good. They're really good with dogs, aren't they?
Yeah, really lenient.
Really lenient, yeah. But, yeah, so Tasmania for me.
And I loved the Eyre Peninsula. We didn't really get to discover it that much. We were in a bit of a rush when we went into SA, but that's just one place I'd love to go back to.
Yeah.
So many nice beaches.
Yeah, the western side, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Airlie Beach for me. It's just too commercialised. Oh look, I see the attraction, I really do, and that's the trade-off you've got between a place that offers so much. You're going to bring lots of people in.
It was very expensive too.
It's super expensive, which when you're on a budget, if you're just going for a holiday, you know, it's not a problem. You're only away for 3 weeks. You usually go back to work and, you know, you're making the same money again. But when you're traveling full time, you've got a budget to stick to. Places like that become really hard. I think it was $55 a night or something. Don't quote me. $55 a night to camp there. And then when you're there, the prices of everything is hiked up. You know, you want to go out for a beer, I think it cost us $14 for a stubby of beer in one of the pubs. But away from the actual town of Airlie Beach, it's a beautiful spot. But yeah, Airlie Beach, I won't be rushing back to.
Yeah. We can't wait to go to a few places. Some of them we haven't been to before, and I think that's why we can't wait to go back, or can't wait to go there.
Yeah.
So Cape York, we never did Cape York.
No.
A lot of people question why we didn't, purely because we didn't want to destroy the car.
Yeah, basically the car is essentially a camper van.
At home.
It's a camper van on wheels. We spent a lot of money, a lot of time and effort getting it ready. And you know, I was aware that I could take the chicken tracks up just to get up to the Cape, but I wanted to do the Cape. I wanted to make sure that I sort of did it and experienced it rather than just drive the PDR or, you know, just go around all these. But there's certain water crossings that you have to do, and the time that we were there, it was very, very busy, and we heard that it wasn't the best time. It was a good time to go, but it was obviously very busy. So, so a couple of things coupled together basically deterred us from going. But it's somewhere that we definitely want to go to. The other place is back to Arnhem Land. Went out there for a week or 8 days. Last year, awesome spot. Really, really, really fantastic. Just a long way in. And I'd like to go with a slightly bigger boat.
Yeah, and we didn't do Victoria all that much. We would love to go back to the high country, and just experience the hills and the Grampians and all that sort of area.
High country, yeah. Yep.
We do now.
Yeah. I've been chewing Taylor's ear off to get a puppy for or a dog for possibly the start of the trip, but she said no, and I'm really glad that she did, because we wouldn't have gone to half the national parks. That is the biggest problem with having a pet. Is if you want to go to national parks, you have to plan well in advance. You have to find somewhere to either leave them, which is costly but not usually too bad, or you've got to find some really nice people and be able to trust them.
And the other thing we didn't realise travelling with a pup was the temperature. So about 2.5 weeks ago, we were in Melbourne and we were trying to find rugs for him because it was so cold.
Buy extra towels.
And then 2 weeks later and we were in the heat of the NT and northern WA. So it was a big change for him, big change for us too, because it was just so warm and no breeze. But we just saw him suffer a little bit. That's why we sort of headed south to get to the mid coast and try and get some breeze. And it is a lot cooler. Yeah,
well, it's heaps cooler down here,
and he seems a lot happier too.
Yeah, but it's just one thing you have to take into consideration, because you know, I mean, during the day it's fine. When the car's running, the aircon's on, he's happy as. But night time and during the day, it's just stuff you have to consider. So.
Scary and a funny story all at once.
There's been a few. So we just left WA, and I'd never been out of the state. I think Taylor had only ever been out of the state on an aeroplane, never been out in a car, and just very excited. And Taylor said, right, we left WA heading towards South Australia, and she said, I have heard that the Bunder Cliffs, which basically look over the Great Australian Bight, are awesome. Like you have to stay on the cliffs at least for one night, you know, and experience them. So, not knowing much about it, I do a lot of the driving, not looking on my phone. I said to Taylor, right, well, where are they? So she just goes on Google Maps, which we rely upon a lot, and she just types in Bunder Cliffs. And unbeknownst to us, Google Maps just generates a place where the Bunder Cliffs are, not necessarily where the Bunder Cliffs camping spot is. So we drive for about 12 kilometers, and she says, right, you have to take a right up here. And there's a little bit of a formed track, not an overly well used formed track, but it was a track. And we're towing the little boat. We've got a little 3.5, 4 meter tinny behind us, and the Troopy. And we start going down this track, and we start to go down, basically down these cliffs. And all the pictures I'd ever seen, you sit on top of the cliff, and it's just a straight drop. So I can't imagine there'd be too much going down and then back up and down and up. So anyway, we get halfway down this track, and I'm starting to realise that this is probably not the place we want to be. And what happens is we come to a very, very steep drop. I'd say probably only 1.5 meters, but it's straight down 1.5 meters. It's enough to roll a car. And basically I've got it on full lock to the left, and the car is just continuing to go straight. So panic stations everywhere. I tried to figure out what to do. Taylor gets out, and she says, "Oh, just reverse." So I was like, "You can't reverse. I can't reverse. The trailer's sat like that, and the boat's sort of at a quite sharp angle next to the car. I can't reverse out." So I said, "Right, we're going to have to go down, then turn around, and then try and come back up." So Taylor jumps out, and typical Land Cruiser has to put her foot on the brake whilst I try and figure out a way for us to get out of there without, rolling a bloody car. So eventually what I did was we got a lot of really big rocks and just packed them in hard against the front right wheel, which is where the drop off was, and just fucking hope to God that it started to turn, and it did eventually start to turn. However, I looked out of my window, and it was just a straight, from the window, it probably would have been a 2 meter drop, and the car just missed it by probably, the wheels were probably 3 inches, from the edge. So
it was very scary.
It was very scary. We were in the middle of basically nowhere. If anybody's ever come across the Nullarbor, there's not a lot around there, and didn't know where we were going. Anyway, managed to get turned around, eventually get back up to the track, back onto the highway. And before we jumped onto the highway, I checked the HEMA maps, little atlas that we've got, and lo and behold, about 30 k's up the road, there's the Bunder Cliffs campsite. So if we just looked at the real map and not trusted Google Maps.
Yeah, always cross-check Wiki Camps, the hard book, and Google Maps. So
I hope I did the story justice.
Yeah,
it was quite a stressful occasion.
So we bought these. It's a 4-pack of magnetic Hardkorr lights. They've got multiple settings, different colors, different vibrancies, and they're just awesome. You can put them on the car, you can hang them under the awning. They're just a really neat little invention, I think. Yeah,
just for someone that doesn't want to have to set up and have leads and wires everywhere, and they literally are just take them out, plonk them where you want it, and then click the button and it's done. It's on in seconds. Very, very useful. Little bit of kit. So
we also have our drop-down table.
Yeah, drop-down table for me. It's not a necessity, and it's something that not all 4-wheel drives can afford to have because of the length and the space on the side of the car, or on the side of the Troopy that we've got. But yeah, we use it every single day, twice, sometimes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So if you said to me an item that you can't live without, it would be that. Because if I had to set up a table every single time, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah. We worked very hard for a solid 2 years, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty much 2 years getting the car to where we wanted it, and then also saving for the actual trip itself. Between us, we've spent a house deposit. We intended to come back with a house deposit, but I think we got halfway around and we said it's just without working a bit more, it's just not possible.
We've worked a little bit, so we did a month in Karratha. I was swimming teaching, Pete was installing solar panels. Then we got up to Darwin and absolutely loved it. So Pete, we got a house sit, and Pete got a job working at a bar, and that was a really cool experience. We loved Darwin. And yeah, it's just hard for us to work solid for a long period of time, only because of the setup. If we don't have accommodation included, we probably would have stayed longer in Darwin and worked for longer if we got a rental, but it was just a bit hard.
I think if we had a van, or you had something like a bus, that's a converted bus or a camper van, whatever the hell you want to describe it.
Easy setup.
Easy setup, but then also having a mode of transport.
Yeah.
So set up a base and then go from there. Yeah. With the car being the transport, it was a bit unfair. I was finishing at 2:30 a.m. some nights, and it would be unfair for Taylor to have to stay up till then for me to then drive home. So yeah, that's probably why we didn't work as much as we maybe had planned.
Fuel.
Yeah, fuel. The way the fuel prices are going, it's definitely fuel.
Yeah.
But even before the fuel prices going crazy, it was definitely fuel. Whenever you're doing, I think we've done 60,000 or just over 60,000 Ks. We do, so we get roughly 1,000 Ks out of both of our tanks, and it costs about $250 to fill both tanks.
Yeah.
So you do the maths, 60 times that. It's a lot of money, but it's you're not paying rent, so it sort of works out a little bit like that. So what's our average spend, do you think, roughly?
It's really hard because it changes from week to week. I don't know what the average would be.
So we were just up at the Cape Leveque, just north of Broome. We spent Easter up there, very, very warm. But for a week we hardly spent anything. Our food was our biggest expenditure because we were taking enough for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
But we weren't going anywhere, so we weren't spending stuff. So some weeks you have weeks like that where you don't go anywhere, but the initial cost at the start for all the food can be quite high. Yeah. And then there's other times when you are traveling every single day, going to different towns, going to different attractions, museums, whatever, and there's little costs incurred through that. So I would say roughly it'd be around 500 to 600.
Yeah, I was going to say 500 a week.
Yeah, but that's including everything, fuel and food and everything else. All the things that you're scared of and you might get anxious about possibly doing a trip like this. Don't be, basically. Just be prepared. Be prepared and have a little bit of money put aside, like for a rainy day, like we both got. Couple of thousand put away just in case something goes wrong, and you're never going to get stuck, I don't think.
No. There's always people to help you, always businesses that are geared up to help you. I
mean, we've been lucky that we haven't had too many things go wrong, but there are these safety nets for you to fall back on. So that would be my biggest thing, because I was really anxious about the things that you read about, breaking down in the middle of that. Well, yeah, you might break down in the middle of the outback, but you're not going to get completely stuck. I mean, unless you're going into some really, really super remote places, like some of the deserts at the wrong time of year, I don't think that you're gonna get too unstuck with traveling.
If you've got an EPIRB and stuff like that.
And even if you've got an EPIRB,
emergency, yeah, it's just
you set yourself
you're
up.
pretty safe.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about you, Taylor?
I realised that family's only a phone call away. When we first left, I was really anxious just about leaving home and not being around people. But you meet so many people on the road, and it's just amazing the friendships that you make, and
they kind of become your family in a weird
yeah.
You can only be talking to someone for 5 or 10 minutes, and
you've got some lifelong friends.
You've got some friends that you'll meet up with again, and then you meet them again, and you become even closer. So. And
they're in the same boat as you, so. Did he just fall out?
No, you just knocked your lens out.
A lens?
That thing.
Oh no, that's your boat.
Great.
It's all good. Mine is about meeting all the different types of people. I love socialising, and just meeting friends and like-minded people. Even like not like-minded people, you just learn to interact with different people of all ages, different walks of life. That was my biggest thing about travelling.
Mine, waking up every day and not having to answer to anybody but yourselves.
Yeah.
I think, and now Ralph.
Yeah.
But you don't have to answer to anybody. You just, if you want to go somewhere, you go somewhere. If you just want to sit around all day and do absolutely nothing, you can do that. If you want to have a beer at 9 o'clock, who cares? I mean, wouldn't advise it every day, but you're your own boss if you like.
Yeah, you got a heap of freedom.
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom.
Our biggest splurge so far on the lap, or it will be on the lap, is Pete surprised me with the orcas.
A trip to see the orca.
The trip to
down
see the
in Bremer
orcas.
Bay in Western Australia.
Yeah, and that was worth it. Probably wouldn't be like a yearly thing. We'd probably do it again when we've probably got some kids or something. But
yeah, I mean,
it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, you don't have to go out there every week to see them.
But they were amazing.
Yeah, they were very good.
And I bought Pete a 3-day drone course down in Esperance, and I think that was pretty worth it. It got you a few tips and tricks.
Yeah, help me editing and stuff like that. Not that I do it.
It was good while it lasted.
Yeah, we bought a Weber when we were halfway around. I'm not entirely sure why. I think we missed like roasts and stuff like that, but we do use it, and it is very good and very handy, and it's not too big.
We had something similar at home, and just thought we should have brought it, but
I guess that would be probably one of the only things that we bought with us that probably wouldn't take it around again.
No. When we were living in Darwin, we had a 5-day lockdown, and that was actually quite convenient because we were in our house sit. So
as convenient as a lockdown can be.
Yeah.
But we were lucky that we were in a house. Yeah, I think is what Taylor's saying.
And it was only for 5 days, not like Melbourne or Sydney where it was weeks. But we've kind of avoided the.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't affected directly by lockdowns, but it was always something that played in the back of your mind. When packing, be strict and be honest with if you actually use something. We are both guilty of this. However, Taylor is very, very guilty. The amount of clothes in her clothes drawer that I have not seen her wear, because she uses about the top 4 inches of her clothes drawer, yet the clothes drawer is jam-packed. You cannot get another thing in it. And she wears the same thing every day, all the same things. So that would be my biggest thing. And then do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because you want to become Instagram famous or YouTube famous, or don't do it for anybody else but you and you guys. and take it in when you're at some of these places. Like,
don't just snap the picture and take
then
a video.
go. Yeah, I mean, we've done it sometimes with a few places, and you get there and you go, oh, it's not as great as I maybe thought. Well, yeah, but it's life. It's not, you know, it's not Instagram.
Nothing's perfect all the time.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Right, that is.
I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
That simple. We cook on this every day, morning and night.
So these are our Hardkorr lights. They're magnetic. The elastic comes out so you can hang them, but they also stick to the car perfectly. Many different settings. And yeah, we love them. They're rechargeable and just really neat.